every day,
every
single day.
Ooh, baby, I love your way. Every day.
Let me know when you guys are ready.
All right, we're ready.
Ooh, baby, I love your way.
Every day, yeah. Ooh, baby, I love your way. Every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Flip Flop Flam. My name is Aaron
Damn
Carnevale. Unbelievably interrupted already. I'm your host today. We are here in the house with my two guests. I'm here with Tony Dilatel and Gator Schran. Say hello to everybody,
Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
We have a special episode coming to you today. I'm the guest today on the show, if you can't tell by me gracing your
We
earbuds.
can't tell because it sounds like you're hosting, Aaron.
Gator graciously offered me the host spot today.
That's a lie. He stole it.
So I'm going for the biggest viewership of the year. I'm very excited to be on the show, guys. Thanks for having me. What's going on?
Not much, man. I mean, it's so nice of you to have us. Invite me into your humble home.
It is very nice.
I feel welcomed.
I wanted to ask you, now that we have you on the air,
Now that we have him on the air?
right.
Okay.
The 3-step flop, okay? How did that name come to be? How long did you think about it, and when did it come to your head, and when did you put it on paper?
So Gator has the better memory out of us too, but if I recall, we knew we wanted to do a podcast, and we knew we wanted to have a name that was somehow related to football, but we didn't want to pick something that was like some of the things we thought of originally were like already terms, and we wanted something like original and creative.
I think what we were gonna go with up until like 5 minutes before we recorded was quarter hacks.
That's right. Yeah.
That's good.
And then we just kind of spitballed a little more, and 3-step flop came up. So we went with that.
Okay. I'm not hating. I'm just curious.
It sounds a little bit like hate. I think.
Okay, I'm saying flip flop flam.
Okay.
That's what comes
That
to
doesn't
mind.
make
It
any
doesn't make any
sense.
sense. None at
Are
all.
we a funk band? That doesn't make any sense, man.
I wish we were a funk band. That'd be kind of fun. We're in the house today. We're in the 946. This is a Thursday.
Don't say our whole address. We got some big fans out there that might track us down.
We're watching the game. It's just about to start. We got the 49ers and the Cardinals on tonight. Before we get into any of the quarterback talk, what do you guys think of tonight's game just from a football perspective? Are you excited for it, or are you kind of thinking this is going to be a pretty nasty one?
I mean, I don't really care about the teams themselves, but just the fact that we already have 2 bad quarterbacks picked for this week is exciting to me. We got Brian going up against Drew for week 5. So, most of this podcast is going to be about week 4, but it'll be exciting to watch week 5 happen as we record.
Yeah, I think I'm not. I can't say I'm excited for this game because I think both these teams have shown that they're not all that good. If Carson Palmer was playing tonight, I would expect a rout, a big Cardinals win, but I don't think Drew Stanton is going to put them over the edge.
I disagree. Carson Palmer, I have him in my regular league, and he has not been showing what I've wanted out of him. It's been atrocious. So I don't buy into Carson Palmer. Even when he comes back, I don't give a shit. He's actually been on our top undrafted 2 weeks in a row now. So
which you can access at our website, which is, what is it, Gator?
3stepflop.com.
Do you spell out 3 or do you put the number 3?
You spell it. We're also in acquiring Flip Flop Flam at the moment.
We'll redirect that to the 3-step flop URL.
That's a good idea. I want to think. So far in the season, one of the biggest things has been injuries. Obviously, NFL season, it's all dictated about health, depth, stuff like that. When you're looking at this kind of league, it's kind of tough because on a weekly basis, you're going to have to pick that quarterback on a Saturday. There's a lot of injuries out there right now. Chiefly was Jimmy Garoppolo goes Island, right? And he's not going to be able to be a relevant quarterback anymore. So we have some good quarterbacks coming back. We have Tom Brady.
But that's irrelevant to his injury. Tom Brady's coming back because of his suspension. If Garoppolo was healthy as a duck, he wouldn't be playing.
Specifically as a duck, by the way.
That's a saying. People say it.
No one has ever said that before.
So, okay, that's a good point. And
which part, the duck part or the other part?
No.
Which it's important to point out that somehow Brady gets to come back and play the Browns for his opening warm-up game, his preseason game.
It's almost as if the NFL is rigged.
I can't wait to talk about the Browns later in this podcast. How about that for a little tease in your life?
I know you're the host. I don't want to step on your toes, but since you brought up injuries, maybe this would be a good time to go into the current injuries in the NFL right now at the quarterback position. Is that okay with you, host?
That's cool.
Okay. So we did see Trevor Siemian leave the game on Sunday, a game that he looked pretty good in, and his backup came in, who is named Paxton Lynch, that I just almost forgot.
We think.
From what I've read, Simeon was throwing at practice today, so he's not full go. I don't see him playing on Sunday. I think Lynch is going to get the start. We'll talk about that as we go through our picks, but that's something to keep an eye on. I don't think many people are looking to pick Trevor Siemian, as we've talked about previously, but Paxton Lynch might not be might be a good choice. Also, Andrew Luck was limited in practice today, but I think he'll probably play on Sunday, so that probably won't matter too much. But it's something to watch. Sometimes picking a guy who's already hurt can help you out because they are not going to be at 100%, and that could cause some problems. So something to look out for there.
Who is Andrew Luck's backup?
I have no idea.
Okay. So
it's somebody who's going to get picked if he's playing on Sunday. That's who.
So in that instance, I would be able to pick Indianapolis quarterback, and that would be a relevant pick, right?
Here we go.
And that brings us to our next segment.
Okay.
Aaron argues something that nobody else agrees with. All right, here we go.
Okay, the word argue brings, I hate that word.
Debates? Is that better?
Aaron discusses in a manner that no one's feelings get hurt. How about that? Does that work for you?
Life is about being happy and positive. So
All right, Aaron,
let's
show us
all,
your point.
Okay, so this is, I'm drawing from a different league I'm in, a regular fantasy league, not like, where we calculate
Mistake number one.
Sorry to cut you off, but before we get into this, let's describe the situation that happened last week and why we're talking about this.
Right.
So go right ahead and do that.
So injuries are a big deal in the NFL, and we have to pick our quarterbacks before the game. So we have to pick our quarterbacks on Saturday, right? So last week I was faced with a decision where I had to pick shitty Brian Hoyer or a possible Jay Cutler return, right? So either way, both good selections. So in my opinion, if we were to pick these quarterbacks and I had to commit the day before and I picked Brian Hoyer, for instance, and then the next day we find out that Jay Cutler is starting, I should be able to drop Brian Hoyer and pick up Jay Cutler, correct? Because this
is where you're wrong.
Okay.
Well, I understand why that makes logical sense, but let's have Gator tell you the way that we believe that it should work and why we think it's more fair.
So, first of all, we've been running it the same way for 3 years now. We have always gone by if your quarterback ends up sitting the bench, then you're stuck at 0. And let's point out that 0 might not be a bad score, considering you, especially this week, scored -7 points, and Alex, who didn't play a player, Alex did not even play a player, he got 0 points, and he scored better than you. So, scoring 0 points is not necessarily a bad thing. Second of all, let's point out the Browns, for example. Last week, Cody Kessler is obviously the starter. However, Tyrod Taylor I'm sorry, not Tyrod Taylor.
Josh McCown?
No.
Terrell Pryor.
Terrell Pryor was an option as well. He could have been a quarterback.
You're
as
nailing
well.
this so far.
Shut the fuck up. So I am. So let's say that you wanted to pick the Browns quarterback. Well, then, do you think that you should get points for anyone who throws the ball?
Definitely not.
So you would just get the starter points.
I think that you should be able to change your quarterback up to the start of the game. So if you pick a quarterback on Saturday and before the game on Sunday he gets hurt and he's no longer playing, you should be able to drop that quarterback for his replacement.
Now, here's the problem. Let's say you think Kessler's going to play more than Terrell Pryor. And let's say I think Terrell Pryor is going to play more than Kessler. That's the risk I'm taking by choosing. If I choose Terrell Pryor and he plays more than Kessler, then you're fucked. Like, if you choose Cleveland Browns quarterback, then you're taking away a pick from someone else.
So that's a good point. So you should be able to pick any quarterback you want. So I could pick Andy Dalton, you could pick AJ McCarron, right? And if Dalton got hurt, I would have no legal right to pick up AJ McCarron because you've drafted him, right? So you got that guy. But my point and I guess I didn't articulate it that well on the group me, but I think you should be able to drop players before Sunday if they get injured and pick up another player.
And no one has picked him. Is that what you're saying?
Right, and nobody's picked him.
Here's what
nobody's
I would
picked
say.
him.
I think I see that line of thinking. I would say that by effectively taking a team's quarterback core, you're basically just taking. You have 2 picks. You're getting 2 picks while everyone else gets 1.
Maybe okay. So maybe that's a little bit of, and we'll get on with this in a second because
I think it's a very healthy discussion.
I think that's a good point because maybe not pick Cleveland quarterback as I do air quotes. You pick the quarterback, but the rule should be tweaked to where you can drop that injured quarterback and pick up another one if they weren't drafted.
So that's not bad. That's better than the original line that you're coming at us with. But I think what that quickly turns into is we're no longer playing a bad quarterback league. We're playing a best defense league. We're just choosing, okay, I'm going to pick Carolina's defense this week. You know what I'm saying? We're no longer. It doesn't matter about the quarterback if you're able to just switch it out based on the defense that you're playing against.
I would say, in addition to that, you're also playing an interesting game where now you just kind of want to pick guys who may or may not play because it's advantageous for you if they don't play because presumably the backup's worse than the guy you picked. So you want the guy who's their backup to be picked. But if you take the starter, maybe no one else is going to take their backup because you just took the starter, and now you've effectively taken 2 guys. I just think there's too many advantages to allowing someone to do that.
Maybe I'm not thinking about trying to rule a system. I'm just thinking that if someone gets
I know,
hurt,
but that's not
if
the
someone
point.
gets
That's-
hurt, I think if someone gets hurt, you shouldn't get 0 points because I think that's kind of a bad.
But that's how we've been doing
precedent.
it for 3 years now. And like I said, 0 points isn't necessarily a bad thing. We've seen negative points every year, at least 3 times a year, I would say. We've already seen it twice this year.
When the UFC started, they had no gloves and they had eye gouges and they had low blows allowed. So, I guess things have to evolve at some point if you want to evolve. But, if you want to stay back in those
that's
days.
a good point. Let's move on a little bit. But I do have a question for you. Ignoring this topic that we've already beaten to death, where do you see the league evolving? What do you want to see different about the league besides this point? Let me emphasize that.
I want to keep this league between our friends. I don't want it to become something where people get upset about it. I think that fantasy sports at the core is to have fun. So if we ever stray past the point where somebody's not having fun doing this, we're doing something wrong. Because if anybody's taking this way too seriously, don't do that. Because I think this is just the dumbest fantasy league I've ever been in my life.
Oh, whoa!
In a good way, right? This is stupid. We're picking bad quarterbacks. We're picking against people. That's something I've never done. So I want to keep it between our friends. I want everybody to have fun. It should never be about money. It should never be about knocking your opponent down. It should be about having fun as a group and being in a group message together and just having fun because I've never thought about picking bad quarterbacks before. So I don't know. I think
Clearly
that's
based on your score.
right. Right. Well, hopefully this week I have a little bit better luck because I haven't picked my guy yet, but I'm pretty sure everybody knows who I'm picking if it's not a big secret anymore.
All right. With that, let's move into last week and how everyone did.
Yeah, so I got the old recap here. This isn't. I unfortunately don't have this in order, so I don't know if you want to do this in any sort of order. Okay, so we going good to bad here.
Yeah, let's go good to bad.
All right, so at the very top of the list, we got Lauren once again coming through. Gator Bangs Corgis.
Time out real quick. Sorry to interrupt. Yeah. But Lauren, that name is tremendous.
The views expressed by Aaron Carnevale are not the views of the 3-Step Flop podcast. Just as a disclaimer.
The Flip Flop Flam podcast.
It looks like Lauren went with Ryan, as she put it, Ryan Fitz Pat bitch, which is pretty good. I'll take that. A solid pick after Tony DeLaTelle's thrashing of the bad quarterback league last week.
Oh man.
He went 23 for 41, 261 yards, so a lot of yards, but he threw 3 picks. Lost a fumble and got sacked 4 times. So obviously, Lauren cashed in big time with 34.78 points. I don't know how much longer the Jets are going to have Ryan Fitzpatrick as their quarterback if he continues to do this. That's now 9 interceptions in the last 2 games, and 1 touchdown or 2 touchdowns, something like that. So huge issues for the Jets at quarterback. I mean, their alternative is Geno Smith, I suppose. So I can't imagine it would get any better.
Favorite of last year.
Yeah, I mean, Geno Smith, we all love watching him play in this league especially. But obviously, Lauren, nothing we can say much about that other than great pick. And I think that Fitzpatrick will probably be at the top of the list this week, unless they're on a bye. I'm not now that buys are okay. They're not.
Not on a bye, but I am
Oh, God.
drafting
Okay.
first, so I might
Right,
skew
right.
that. But yes, definitely one of the top picks. And I was really in my head, I've always looked at Ryan Fitzpatrick as a decent to serviceable quarterback. So when he threw those 6 interceptions, I was like, okay, bad week. You know, we all have those weeks where we have bad weeks or whatever. But to do it on consecutive weeks, I think that does say something about him as a player, and maybe more so as the Jets as an offense.
You're right, and this week he doesn't have an easier opponent. He's going against Pittsburgh at home, so I think he's going to be a top 3 pick this week for sure.
Yeah, obviously Pittsburgh looked really good last week against the Chiefs. So their defense, I think, is a little bit better than what it's been the last couple of years. Moving on to our second our second place finisher this week is the Dirty Butt Fumbles, of course, Austin, which I'm glad that Austin was able to get a solid point total this week with 32.42 points, very close to the top spot. He went with Jameis Winston. Is that right? Yeah.
Second week in a row they've had a weather delay.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. They finished both of their 4:00 games at like 9 p.m. on Sunday night. So that's a little annoying. But Jameis Winston, again, looked bad. I don't know why people think he's good. I think he's a bad quarterback, and why he's putting up a lot of numbers in this league. 17 for 35, 179, no touchdowns, 2 picks, a fumble, and 5 sacks. So scoring points all over the board, keeping that yard total low, which we like to see. And the 5 sacks is something to look out for as well. Obviously, I think sacks are something that maybe not a lot of people think about in this league, because it's just easier to think about interceptions and defenses. But if your team's got a bad offensive line, like the Miami Dolphins, for example, who we'll talk about soon, those sacks are what are they? 2 points a sack, or
I think they're 2.
Okay, so essentially the same as a fumble. So obviously, maybe if you're struggling in this league, as some advice to some of those who I'm looking down on in the standings, maybe look for a guy who has racked up a lot of sacks. So good pick, Austin.
Was that game played in Tampa Bay? I missed
Yeah.
that. Okay.
Yeah.
So at the end of that, it was looking more like a Tampa Bay Rays game and not like a Tampa Bay Buccaneers game.
Yeah,
Not many
exactly.
people there.
Exactly.
Okay.
And actually, the interesting tidbit, I read that the ushers at the stadium were kicking people out of the lower bowl who had come down after the delay.
Wow.
So they had like an hour delay. These people stayed for the whole delay. Bucks fans who were watching their team get beat by 20 points. And the Bucks decided it was a good idea to check those people's tickets to make sure they were in the right seat.
That's
so
too
great
bad.
job, Bucks front office. Just way to really stick it to your most loyal fans who decided to stick around.
Now, sticking with Austin here, despite having a really good week, Austin has still put up a negative number in the draft value board. He has 4 weeks in a row of negatives, and Aaron, I believe, is the only other person with 4 weeks of negatives.
Hey, well, I'm great friends with Austin, so I think we're just going to hold the fort down just fine.
You know, I take that back. You have company. Brian Rankin, our commissioner.
Now hold on.
is
I had
also
Cody.
a negative.
I had Cody shit the bed Kessler one week, and he had positive points for me, right?
But that's
we're
not
talking
how. That's not
total
how,
points. Okay.
No. That's not how that works. The
This
draft
is Gator's metric that he invented.
Okay.
the draft value is about where you are in the position and where you drop to the next week. Meaning, if you have a negative point, someone below you picked better than you.
Right.
So
okay.
you left a better quarterback on the board.
Okay. All right.
So you, Brian, and Austin are the worst pickers so far this year. Just want to point that out.
I'm very happy to be in that company with Austin.
And you know, one more statistic: you and Austin have been almost complete mirrors of each other. It almost perfectly. When one of you does well, the other one does complete opposite. So it's your week to do well. You're actually historical data says you're going to get 4th this week. And Austin, I'm sorry, you're going to do the worst.
Which, let's be honest, we knew that was going to happen anyway. Just kidding, Austin. We love you. Number 3 is yours truly. Brocca Flocka Flame coming in hot with a solid 24.26 points out of the 10 spot. Alex Smith was huge for me this weekend against Pittsburgh. If not for 2 garbage touchdowns at the end, I would have been looking at a very, very nice day. they were down. I think Kansas City was down like 35-0 in the fourth, and they came back and scored 2 touchdowns like the last 10 minutes of the game. So real big bummer for me. I know you guys are pretty upset about that. I can tell in your faces.
I'm really bummed.
That being said, Alex Smith, not a guy who has been picked every week, but he had the 2 garbage time TDs. He threw the ball 50 times, 20 incompletions, 287 yards, 2 touchdowns, a pick, and 4 sacks. So the incompletions obviously helping me out the most. 287 yards is not too shabby, but that Pittsburgh D, like I said earlier, I think is looking pretty solid. They might be a defense to target if you're maybe towards the bottom like I was last week and are trying to figure out, maybe a sneaky pick to make.
Historically, Pittsburgh's always had a good defense, and every year I feel like the story with them is that they get older and they have these guys like Ryan Shazier that come up out of nowhere, and like they're just phenomenal players. I just think from all aspects, I think more than anything, they have an attitude on that defense that just really messes with quarterbacks. I think for whatever reason, Pittsburgh has a swagger to them that a lot of teams know when they're going to play Pittsburgh, especially in their dome. In their house, they don't have a dome, but in their house, that it's a dangerous game, and they're out to hurt people because they're shitty people, all of them, every one of them on their team.
Couldn't agree more.
Especially Joey Porter, and he's not even on the field,
Especially
most of the time.
Well, sometimes he is when it's a playoff game, and he shouldn't be.
But we digress.
All right, moving on. Number 4 this week was Beats by Ray. That's Drew. He went with Eli Manning.
Great pick, by the way.
Why?
I'm being serious. Because I was telling Taylor. Taylor had the option to choose Eli Manning, and I was trying to encourage her to choose Eli, just because Minnesota's defense was looking so good, and I think Drew jumped on it right before everyone realized that they're legit. So I really think, and Eli's a bit of a risky pick too. Eli can throw himself some touchdowns, and Odell Beckham Jr. had his worst game of his career, so it was a good pick.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, and that's something I wanted to talk about as well. First of all, the Vikings defense. I wasn't sold on the Vikings for the first 3 weeks. I did watch them quite a bit, but after watching that game against the Giants on Monday night, I think that not only their defense, but their whole team is legit. I think they got a real chance to go far this year. Sam Bradford has surprised me. I did not think that they had as good a team as they thought they did when they made that trade. But it's obviously working out for them very well. So, but with Eli, the whole thing with Odell Beckham now, he came out this week saying that he's not having fun playing football. He's letting cornerbacks get under his skin. All of these things are bad for Eli Manning and good for us. So if he is going to force balls to Odell or if he's going to look elsewhere, that's always going to benefit anybody who picks Eli Manning.
Right. And I read a report today that the coaching staff on the New York Giants are considering benching Odell Beckham Jr. if his shenanigans keep up. So something to keep a lookout for. But you know what? He's an all-star. He's like one of the best receivers in the league. So if they were going to bench him, whether he's doing this crazy stuff or not, that's going to hurt their team. So it's probably just a message to him to say, hey, get your act together. They're not going to bench that guy. There's no way.
Yeah, he's too good. He's too good to not be on the field. I think he'll probably get it together. But that being said, Eli Manning, 25 for 45, 261, no touchdowns and a pick. So obviously the no touchdowns helping Drew out a little bit. I think what they ended up doing, they just hammered the ball with the running game towards the goal line. So Eli didn't really get much of a shot at touchdowns. It could have gone another way, but maybe that's just the Vikings' red zone defense being really effective.
Mm-hmm.
And just to point out, since we are doing this during the Thursday night game, Drew, it's early in the game, but Drew's sitting at 2.8 points. So not a bad start.
That's our live, not live score update there. Moving on to Gator, Kenny Kawaguchi, number 1 QB. Coming in this week with 18.22 points. Ryan Tannehill. Okay, so you had the Thursday night game against the Bengals defense, who with Vontaze Burfict back looks like the Bengals defense that we all know and love from last season.
They look good.
Except for that opening throw by Tannehill, despite that 70-yard bomb that fucked me from the start.
Yeah, and I believe that he's done that. He's done that now twice this season, as he's come out early in the game and thrown like an 80-yard touchdown. I think the first time it was Devontae Parker or something like that, and then just shit the bed for the rest of the game because he ended up finishing with let's see, 15. So he only threw 25 passes, which is concerning. But 15 for 25, 189, a touchdown, a pick, and 5 sacks. So those 5 sacks coming in big. The Bengals all last season got after the quarterback very well. And I think Tez is a big part of that because I think he's a much better linebacker in the passing game than a lot of people give him credit for. And I think that he takes away those over the middle and short passes, and it gives guys like Michael Johnson, who looked phenomenal, by the way, on Sunday or on Thursday, an opportunity to get to the quarterback.
Him and Dunlap look legit as defensive ends. I mean, I think if you look at premier threats in the league, those two are really at the top. They really know how to get to the quarterback. The Dolphins, like you mentioned earlier in the pod, they have a really weak offensive line. I think we've kind of known that for a while. So, in my opinion, I picked Tannehill a couple weeks ago, and it didn't pan out very well. But I think Tannehill's a good pick every single week. Dolphins aren't very good, and their offensive line is just butt.
See, this week I'm going to avoid Tannehill, and I think the league will as well. They're going up against Tennessee at home, and Tennessee I don't think they've impressed anybody at all. So Tannehill's not going to get touched this week.
Yeah, good point.
I think that's a good assessment. I also think this week is somewhat of a come to Jesus moment with Ryan Tannehill. He's been, what is this, his 4th year now? I think he was a year
Sounds
after
right.
Dalton. I think the Dolphins are going to have to make a decision here pretty soon. Now, to his credit, he's had some coaching changes. He hasn't really, sort of like Jason Campbell early in his career, where he had a different offensive coordinator every year.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't really been able to have a consistent offensive system, but I think there's a chance this year that the Dolphins turn to Matt Moore, who hasn't been a starter in a while, but when he has started, he's proven to be serviceable. He's probably like a Matt Castle style quarterback.
If Matt Moore starts, I'm going to pick him.
I mean,
You know what I
he
mean?
would be a high pick for sure, especially with that offensive line. But it's something to watch out for. Anytime a QB is going to lose his job, that's just prime real estate for one of us to pick up the backup. Okay, so moving on down to the bottom half, we got the Action Jacksons, which of course is our commissioner, Brian. Thanks for appearing on the show last week. Got great feedback from the listeners from your appearance. So
Good review.
So well done there. Brian, of course, went with who he calls Fartkus Mariota, which I thought was a little bit juvenile, but that's now confirmed based on Aaron's laugh. So
I love it.
So Marcus Mariota, 13 for 29, just a brutal line there. 202, no touchdowns and a pick. No sacks, which saved him from a huge day. But once again, Marcus Mariota continues to look like absolute shit.
Yeah, going up against the Houston defense, really solid defense, but now that J.J. Watt's out there, I'm not afraid of him anymore. With J.J. Watt, I honestly think he is not only the player who's going to get them the sacks, but he's the leader of the defense, and without him, they're a different team.
I think, well, Houston. So what? I guess what's happened to Jadeveon Clowney? Is he playing? Do you know?
Dude, you don't ask me. And Tony just walked
Well,
away.
okay. So Houston defense, something to be feared at one point in time. Right now, they just seem kind of like a softy defense. They're like a slushy. When you press that button, it just comes out real mushy D they have right now. Coach Bill O'Brien and his big old butt chin, I think he might be getting a little shaky in his seat right now because that is a team I can see losing a lot of games here in the near future, due in part to that really crummy soft defense.
Fantasy Pros, our link on our 3stepflop.com has them ranked as the 12th ranked defense, which it's not terrible.
Well, I'm breaking the news to you right now. They got a soft defense. They're blue and red slushy combined into one cup.
I agree.
Bad.
I mean, I think they've got Carolina ranked as the 5th ranked defense, and Carolina has not proven that yet. They have not. So I'm not going to buy into these rankings right now.
Yeah, I think it's still somewhat early to judge an entire defense. Carolina's been a weird anomaly this year, especially. That being said, I don't know if I have much else to say about Mariota, so we'll move on from Kamish down to John DeLattelle with T-Bone Your Girl, who I don't know if you guys saw, but Tim Tebow really making waves in minor league baseball.
No, he's not. First, he's in low A. All right, he's not even in double A. He's nowhere near making the team.
Okay,
he's playing
but
with 17 and 18.
He got signed like 2 weeks ago. You can't give the guy a break, man.
Bullshit. He's a piece of junk.
I hope Tim Tebow makes the major leagues and he converts every player to Catholicism.
I'm really happy for him. You know what? Let's real quick. You know, he's a guy that probably is one of the most criticized athletes in our lifetime. And here's a guy that went from football star at Florida to playoff quarterback in Denver to somebody who didn't really get a shot in Denver after a while, right? He kind of got benched and he didn't play very much, and now he's on to a different sport.
And went to the Jets after that.
He went to the Jets, thank you. And now he's on a different sport, and so far he's doing well.
That's impressive.
He is going to T-bone your girl and eat the steak like a biscuit, dog. He's going to be straight up good, all right? He's going to be
He's going to eat the steak like a biscuit?
He's going to eat the steak, and he's going to sop her up with a biscuit. That's what he's going to do, all right? And he's going to bone that girl.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
So let's move on.
And you know what? I wouldn't have said it better myself. Yeah. So John's actual pick, he went with Cleveland QB, aka Cody Kessler.
Good pick.
It was always down to get you some points. 28 for 40, 223, a touchdown, a pick, a fumble, and a sack. So really just going across the whole spectrum there. The Browns are shit. We all know this. It does not matter who is behind the center when it comes to Cleveland. It also doesn't matter who's catching passes, and as we know now, it's not going to be Josh Gordon for quite a while, unfortunately, because I kind of wanted to see him come back, to be honest with you. But whoever's behind center for the Browns is going to be a good pick. I don't know how much more we can say about Browns QBs.
Speaking of Browns QBs, Aaron, you going to tease us a little more?
No, I'll put it in. For the first pick of the draft this week, I'm going to take Poopy Doopy Cream Diddle Kessler, and we can put that in as Poopy Doopy Cream Diddle Kessler.
Man. Send it right now.
So you heard it here second after you read it in the group me, because this certainly is not going to come out instantly.
I'm gonna actually, you know what? I already had it written down as Poopy Doopy Cream Mama Kessler, so we're putting it in there as that. So
I think that is a fantastic way to make the first pick of this week.
We are opening it up with that.
No, I think that's a great first pick. However, I think you would have done better at second this week, because we all know you were going to pick Kessler no matter what. And I think there are better options. I think there are two better options out there right now.
Well, we'll get to those. Don't jump the gun.
All right.
I know you're not the host anymore, and you got all kind of ideas flying around in that brain, but we'll get to those. We'll talk about those.
I'm actually going to edit this and make it Poopy Doopy Cream Diddle Kessler.
Okay, I'm glad you cleared that up.
Rolls off the tongue a little bit better. So there we go. First pick of the draft. I'm sure everybody was expecting something
all right,
different.
And it is official. It has been punched in. So here we go with week 5. All right, so after T-Bone, who we got after that? We got ASAP Korg. That is the newly minted Mrs. Taylor Strand. Is that okay to say?
Yeah.
Is that fine?
She's been minted, man. Oh, we mint all the time.
Oh,
Mints.
what? Ooh. I don't know what to say to that.
I was trying to think of a way to make that sexual, but it's impossible. So, Taylor went with Case Keenum. Another reliable source for points. Not this week, unfortunately, because LA refuses to go away and be shitty like we know that they are.
What are they, 3-1 now?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
After that first week, everybody was kind of saying, "Man, what a shame!" Like they're coming back to this just terrible team. But man, they're 3-1. They're really paving the way to somebody who's gonna be a great quarterback. And that's Jared Goff.
That's true. And don't let this fool you though, LA fans out there. Jeff Fisher is still your coach. Jeff Fisher has never been a successful coach, and he's still riding off of the Music City Miracle from like 2001. So let's not get too excited. You're still going to go 8-8, and Jeff Fisher is going to coach for you for the next 12 years, and that's what you're going to be. So that being said, Case Keenum, 18 for 30, 266, 2 touchdowns, no picks. So good job, Case. 1 fumble loss, which of course is going to get you 4 points and 2 sacks. So Taylor was able to salvage a game there. Is that really all she ended up with?
Yeah, man.
Wow.
And
so
I just want to point out to my beautiful wife that I told her to pick Eli. I told her. Now, to her credit, she was going to choose Fitzpatrick, but obviously it got taken before she could get there. But I told her to pick Eli. And I can say whatever I want. She's not going to listen to this shit. So.
That's true. But I would also add that I've seen enough sitcoms to know that a husband should never say, "I told you so." And I feel like that's what you just did.
Fuck it. I'll dig this grave, and I'll sleep in it.
She also told you to clean up your room, and you didn't listen to her. So this is fair. It's a fair relationship here.
But like Gator said, she's never going to listen to this, so it really doesn't matter. Taylor, I think you're a great friend, and I would never say that to your face, but I will say it on the podcast. Yes, you heard me correctly. All right, so Case Keenum, he's Case Keenum. He's going to be Case Keenum. He's never going to have a good game, except for maybe this week because Taylor picked him. All right, number 9, we got Peyton's Neck, which, of course, is Alex, who did a great job by not putting a quarterback in this week. Who was it that he actually originally picked? So he picked Tyrod Taylor, who I would already say was a bad choice.
It scored him -7. Not he got negative. He ended up with negative.
No, positive 7.
No, I think you're wrong.
Really?
Let me check that. I'll check that.
Okay, we'll get our checkers on it. But Tyrod Taylor, just for the sake of even though he actually didn't score any points this week, 27 for 39, 246, a touchdown, no picks, and two sacks. So I'm a big fan of Tyrod Taylor. I am.
Right. No, positive. Yeah, positive for us. Positive 7 for us. So he would have ended up with 7 points.
Okay, yeah. So I was right.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Good. That's all I care about is being right. I'm biased towards Tyrod because he's on my real fantasy team. Thanks to Aaron for trading him to me. Thank you, Aaron.
Get off.
Oh, shit. Okay, crazy play. But anyway, so I like Tyrod in real life, and I think he's a good quarterback. So I'm probably not going to pick him this year just out of principle. I think Buffalo uses him in a way that mitigates damage, and he's usually not the guy throwing egregious picks. So he's not a guy that I'm ever going to target. But I could see why in that matchup, which who did they play? The Patriots? Is that right? Or am I making that up?
No, you're right.
They played. Yeah, they beat the
Okay,
Patriots.
yeah, I could see. Yeah, they won 16-0. I could see why Alex would go after him. The Patriots have looked so good. You almost have to pick anybody who's playing them.
I will say, I think Tyrod Taylor is going to be in that maybe 10 to 15 range of quarterbacks that you're going to be considering if you're towards the back end of the draft board. I've had him before in other fantasy leagues, and he does have a tendency to fumble the ball a lot, which comes with being a scrambling quarterback.
Yep.
With that, he's thrown the ball out on the run, which causes mistakes in turn. I'm not too sure about Buffalo's offensive line, but I just know from previous years they haven't really impressed me as far as an offensive specimen goes. I know LaShawn McCoy at one point had some good games, so maybe they make some headway. So maybe an average offensive line, we can say. But I think Tyrod's one of those guys that any game he could probably have a couple mistakes that pays off in this league.
I think that's accurate. I would also say that it's worth mentioning that Sammy Watkins looks like he's going to be out for an extended amount of time.
What's new?
Yeah,
That poor guy.
So the Bills don't really have a whole lot behind Watkins. They got like Robert Woods and some other no names. So that's going to be a detriment for Tyrod. Although that could spur some rushing yards and maybe some rushing touchdowns, which obviously are the scourge of this league. So another situation to kind of monitor as the weeks go by.
So last but not least, we're on last, right? That's it.
Yep.
Okay. Last but not least, we're here with our guest first, host second, Aaron Carnevale, on our third installment of What Were You Thinking? So, Aaron, please tell us. What were you thinking?
What?
You ruined my fucking intro. Damn it.
Damn it, man. You know what? And I came on the show humble as a bee. I said, listen, this is your show. I'm not the host. And then Gator graciously offered me the spot. Almost like Jay Cutler is trying to offer his spot up to the backup quarterback, right? So it's like when I was thinking about it, I'm like the Chicago Bears, they are the Fatty Magoo lady at the dance. They are not looking good this year, right? They're not a good team. So when Jay Cutler goes down with an injury, his replacement's just going to be that bad, right? So picking Brian Hoyer, I know he's had some success in Cleveland, which is just something that those two words don't go together. Success in Cleveland normally, but in the past they've meshed somewhat. And you know, maybe Brian Hoyer would have been a better pick a different week, but I felt pretty good going
Definitely
into.
would have been.
In hindsight, I felt pretty good about this pick. Brian Hoyer is a guy that I think can make a lot of mistakes.
In hindsight, you feel good about this pick? After seeing -7, you feel good about this pick? You know what? No.
I'm saying I think that the matchup that presented itself was good enough to where I would pick it again.
What was the matchup?
Detroit.
Okay, so you were scared of that fierce Detroit defense?
Aaron, I would rather have Dan Lebitard on this show.
Yeah, no. Listen, when you have two bad teams facing off at each other, Dan Lebitard is awesome, by the way. Don't you dare hate on that guy, okay?
Hey, that statement's highly questionable.
Him and his poppy are really good, okay? We need more people like that in the ESPNs, because they don't take shit seriously like a lot of other people do.
And life's all about not taking anything
dude,
seriously.
life's about being happy and having fun.
A show with guests such as Ray Shremmerd and Pat Sajak. A real great sports program.
Oh, fuck
Lauren.
sports. It's
I can't
about
believe that Gator's talking shit about Ray Shremmerd right now when they just released the hottest track of 2016, a.k.a. Black Beatles.
So I'm fine with that pick. I don't know. Maybe it was a questionable call at the time, but
Yeah.
I go back in time and I stick to my guns. I say Brian Hoyer is a shit quarterback, and he plays for a shit team, and I'm going to pick him again at some point this year.
And much like the final those that were the final people aboard the Titanic, they went down with the ship, and it appears that you are more than okay with doing that.
I'm taking Cream Dillo Kessler this week, so I'm going to be just fine looking down on you boys.
What are the chances that Cody Kessler comes out and just has a monster game?
0%.
Zero.
Zero.
Over under 1.5 touchdowns.
Under.
Over under 2.5 interceptions. Sorry, over under 2.5 turnovers.
Under.
Okay. So let the record show that
He's not going to have a 68-point game, okay? But he's going to have a
Hold on. So Aaron's going with a quarterback who he thinks is going to have less than 3 turnovers. That's his first pick. You're going to be back on what were you thinking, man?
I'd be happy to come back on the show. I like being here. This is fun.
we've now unearthed Aaron's true motivation, and that's to finish in last so he can be on the podcast.
I like being on the podcast. I also like rooting against Cleveland football players, so a little bit extra motivation for me. But at the core, he's a real poor quarterback. So let's just say maybe Brian Hoyer got me here, but Cody Kessler is not going to get me here again, right? He's not going to be that guy.
So something I've been asking everyone that's come on the show is, and you know, I've asked it and I've asked it, and I haven't seen enough shit talk, man. And I think you have the most creative tongue in the league, man, and I want to see more out of it. But I want you to pick someone. I want you to single someone out this week. Who are you gonna beat this week? Statistically, Austin, but who are you gonna beat
as a person? Like single out one person.
Yeah,
in the league?
one person. In the league.
All right. Well, I'm calling out Drew. All right, Drew. Oh. You know what? And you know what? Here we go. Drew. You know what? I'm gonna cut a promo on you right now, brother. I've never seen you. I've never talked to you in my life. But you know what? Every time I open up my group me, there's a message from you. How about that?
And you know what? If I know Aaron, that's the best way to get on his bad side is to talk in the group me at all.
So, Drew, my big beef with you is you need to upload a picture onto your group me, okay? I'm so sick of looking at it because the only big D you have is that D on your picture, okay?
Oh!
You hear that? You hear that?
And you know what? I would also add that I think that many of us have a bone to pick with Drew, and not only is the image, him not having an image, so he's staying anonymous, which I don't think is right. I think that you should always put your face out there and just own up to what you say. But in addition to that, I would say that I may or may not have lost my train of thought. I'm not sure what I was going to say.
This is really good. Drew,
super hot fire.
Drew, I'm calling you out this week because of your lack of photo. So consider this a wartime declaration. Okay, you're down. You're on.
More than fair.
Yep,
more than fair.
And I'm not going to talk shit about Austin because Austin is like me, where some weeks, you know, just the involvement might be a little questionable, right? And you know, can't blame the guy. Can't blame the guy. So Austin, I'm with you, brother. Okay, we're gonna get through this together, up and down.
Okay, so forming alliances now within the league.
Yes.
Which I can't say I'm a fan of.
Yep.
I want this to be all bad blood.
Austin Rabah and I are on a team. It's out.
Well, it's going to be the team that scores the least amount of points because judging by history, I would say that that's only fair to say.
All right, I think that went well, as good as it was going to go. So let's move on to predictions for next week. We already have 2 quarterbacks playing right now, and we have 2 picks in. We have Aaron with Poopy Doopy Cream Diddle Kessler, and Alex just submitted his pick with Brock Pewter Gym Leader Oswiener, which I like. I really like the Pokemon reference.
Big points for that.
Yeah. Which, by the way, is exactly how I thought the first 2 picks were going to go. I think Taylor's going to end up going with Fitzpatrick. And then I think John's going to end up going with Jameis Winston. I'm not going to tell you what Brian's going to pick because I'm after Brian, and I don't want him to pick that.
Right, and we know that Brian's a micey bastard and will steal your pick just to steal your pick.
Maybe.
So that's the kind of guy he is.
Yeah, he might do it.
Yeah. So as far as predictions go, I'm going to try to keep this to more of a sneaky pick prediction because it's easy to just sit up here and say Cody Kessler's going to have a bad week. What? Is that...
You call me out?
No, I'm calling myself out because if you remember, I think early in the podcast, I was criticized for making my sneaky pick too easy of a pick. So I'm trying to go beyond that, Gator.
All right.
See, this is what happens when we have a guest host, is it ruins the dynamic between me and you, which I thought we were good friends and had a good back
We're
and
not.
forth.
Fuck you.
All right, great. Well, I'm going to pull this mic a little closer to my side, and I'm going to give you guys a couple of my sneaky picks this week. I think that a sneaky pick this week is going to be your boy Dak Prescott against the Cincinnati Bengals, which Gator already shaking his head thinking that Dak Prescott is the second coming, even though he's faced almost no competent defense, and certainly not one as competent as the Cincinnati Bengals, which is going to finish in the top 5 in the NFL this week.
Give me that mic, son. Listen, this is just Tony having some typical Bengals bias, all right? He's going to pick any quarterback that goes up against the Bengals. Any one of them. Because despite the fact that the Bengals had home against Trevor Siemian and he put up the worst negative score that we've seen all year, and Tony thinks somehow Dak Prescott, who's put a pretty incredible performance out so far, is going to suck a dick, I don't think so.
Right, and why would we listen to the guy who's well in first place? Why would we listen to that guy? I mean, it's been 4 weeks, and he's looking down at the rest of the league like I own you, people.
These are called bold predictions for a reason, right?
That's fine. I agree with that. That's a good point. But let me just address him saying how far ahead of us he is when the majority of his points came from his auto draft bullshit pick.
I don't see that listed in the total score. I see me in first place. I don't see where
the history books will write something different.
I think a lot of us have short memories, and they're going to just see Tony atop the league once again for the second straight year.
I think if you get auto drafted and you have a 60-point week, you should be excommunicated from the league.
It's funny how Aaron has all these ideas about rules that seem to benefit him in various ways. I would love to see Aaron come to the table with a rule that somehow does not benefit him, which I have yet to see. Thoughts?
I can't think of one. Can I throw a bold prediction out this week?
Absolutely.
I am liking Kirk Cousins at Baltimore. I think Baltimore has been one of the sneaky picks in the NFL.
Bold.
Yeah, well, they've been one of the sneakier defenses in the NFL this year. Obviously, leading the AFC North. They're in first place. Kirk Cousins is a guy that maybe he has his act together somewhat this year, but he's one of those guys that's on shaky footing at times. I could see him sneaking into the top 10 this week. That would be somebody that I'd be targeting if I was in the 10 to 12 range this week.
I think that's bold because I think Baltimore's I think it's a facade right now. I think I don't know really what kind of great games they've been playing. I think they've skirted to 3-1 off the boots of their heel straps. For me, I'm going to go, I don't know if this is quite as bold or less bold. I'm going to go with either Eli or Tyrod if I'm at the bottom. I think both teams are away. LA has been sneaky good. And this is only going to be their second game at home, I think. And now that they're at home, coming off of a win streak here, I think they're going to play even better. And then Eli, with all this controversy going on with Odell, and Green Bay's been playing pretty solid. Not the best defense, but they've been playing pretty solid.
Yeah, they're pretty good
So I
defense.
think those are my bottom picks.
Yeah, especially Green Bay being at home. I mean, playing against Aaron Rodgers at Lambeau is always difficult. So there's a chance that they get behind early, and Eli's just got to throw a bunch. But there's also that danger of garbage time, which can bring you back to earth. So, but I do agree that Eli towards the 8th, 9th, 10th pick this week is going to be a solid choice.
Are we? Can we talk about the betting?
You are the host, after all.
Yeah.
So we can talk about whatever.
I kind of
want
to bring up the betting. So that I look forward to that, and you know what? Props to the commish. Props to everybody who kind of puts the lines out there. We actually have a pretty good system for that. Every week, I feel like we have a good ebb and flow with that. So with the betting, this goes out to everybody in the league. We fucking suck. All right, this is pretty embarrassing. So I've never been a part of a worse betting group in my life. I wish we were betting on UFC, because if we were, we'd have a better hit ratio.
Yeah.
This is pathetic. It's really hard. There's a lot of parity in the league, but man, oh man, this is Gator showed me the spreadsheet, and it's pretty bad. How much money have we lost thus far total? Do we know?
Well, we put 50 in at the start, so five. Is that right? 5 people or $5 each, or was it $10?
We put $10 each. However, $50.
Oh, okay.
For the first place winner.
That's right. So we've lost $50 so
Okay.
far. I think everybody's adding $5 more in this week. So yeah, so we're back to square one,
Cool.
which I think is a good spot for us to be, since it's been so brutal the first 4 weeks.
As far as lines go, I think it's a pretty safe bet that whatever New England is doing as far as line goes, that's a team that we should just consider this week, right?
Well, if I remember correctly, New England's up to they're a 10-point line right now, right? 11.5.
Ooh.
God damn.
Ooh.
See, it is the Browns though. Do you think that
At New England with Tom Brady coming back.
is it at New England?
Pretty sure it's at New England.
Man.
No,
Go
it's at
check.
Cleveland.
Okay.
Is it in
okay.
Cleveland?
I
Okay.
was gonna say the NFL wouldn't fuck Cleveland that bad, right? I mean, that's just not
I don't
fair.
know. They'd be stroking Brady a little bit good.
Yeah, I think obviously even with the 11.5-point spread, I think still the Patriots are a good bet. We got Gators pointing out the Vikings at home. They're a 7-point favorite. Also not a bad choice. I want to stay away from that Miami Titans game because that could go either way in my
Shit show.
opinion. I think Denver's got a good shot against Atlanta to put up some big points, but
What-
it's a 6-point spread.
What's the Cincinnati line?
We got Cincinnati's favored by 1.5. I'd take that all
That
day.
might be a tasty matchup.
I'd take that
going to
all day
Dallas.
long.
They got a cushy D. That might be something where we're scoring about 60 points this week.
Yeah, right.
So
Yeah, I think that'll probably be one of the nominated games. The other ones, I think it's tough. I mean, Chargers Raiders, it's a 4-point spread. The Chargers? Who fucking knows, man? Phillip Rivers is playing so well, and the Chargers are playing so poorly. It's the same story as last year. I mean, I think Patriots and Bengals are the two that we got to look at.
We'll see. It's fun. I do enjoy the betting every week. So whether we're winning money or not, it's still fun to win, and definitely, even though we're losing, still a good time to lose together.
And exactly, it's together. It's something that the whole league gets to root for as a team, and we get to be together. And that's my favorite part about Sundays, even though I'm normally sitting home alone watching the games on Red Zone by myself, because all you guys have families that you watch it with or
What the
some
hell?
shit.
What the hell?
I just hop on the group me and everyone's like, "Oh, did you see that pass? Did you see that play?" Although you guys are normally watching just the Bengals game, and I'm watching I'm beating off red zone, as Brian says. But
So I think that kind of about does it for this episode. I think this is going to be one of our longest episodes, but it's packed with content. I think this is a solid ep.
It's been an honor. I will like to say hats off to you guys for putting this together. It's a good medium. I enjoy listening to this every week. I will say it's fun being on this podcast. You guys look good together, sitting next to each other.
Oh, thank you.
As a group, I will put out this message. A lot of negativity right now in the world. Stay positive. Stay on top of the positivity train.
All right, we're running out of time here.
speaking of Hillary, let's talk about politics.
And with that, I hope everyone tunes in to the presidential debate on Sunday night. We're going to be rooting for just a giant meteor to hit the building and kill everybody involved.
Can we put bets on that? Can we bet our money on that?
I will bet all of my money that Donald Trump's campaign is going to end on Sunday night. I think that Hillary Clinton's going to slap around again, and it's going to be over, and Hillary's going to win the election in a landslide.
I have to wrap up this politics talk real quick. I'm going to give you guys a rapid question. End of the year, the very last week of the season, who is going to have the NFL player is going to have the highest total points in this league? Who's going to be the worst quarterback for the entire season? Who's it going to be?
Shit.
Predict it right now. Stop thinking. You got to predict it.
Well, as I look on the screen right now, I see Colin Kaepernick, and I'd probably put him towards the bottom
Dude,
somewhere.
he looks like what's that guy from Backyard Basketball? Ernie.
No. That Ernie was the tall black kid. I think there is one kid. I think his name was like Dante.
Dante. That's
that
what it was.
Yeah,
with the afro.
Dante with the afro. Yeah.
Yep, Dante.
I'm gonna go Winston.
Okay.
So Winston being
The worst.
See, this is hard because
That was just off the top of my head.
a lot of the guys who I would
Top
pick,
of your head.
I'm going Fitzpatrick.
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, I think Fitzpatrick's he's got a good amount of points so far.
But he's also in danger of losing his job.
Who's going to win the Super Bowl this year, guys?
Cincinnati Bank. No, I'm just.
Okay.
I'm not going to say that as a fear of being a homer. I think that the Patriots are going to win the Super Bowl this year.
Gator?
Shit. Fuck it. Let's go Minnesota.
I go Green Bay Packers. That's my bold prediction.
You heard it here first,
Yep.
folks.
Yep.
Well, I think that's all we got. Aaron, do you want to sign us out?
Absolutely. It's been an honor. Everybody, thank you for listening to us. Have a good week. If you're listening to this on the drive, please be careful. Hope you've made it to your destination safely, and they will catch you next week. I'm not going to be on the show because I'm going to come in first. So with that, I'm out. Gator, Tony, on behalf of them, they say goodbye, and they're smiling. And thanks for listening.